Hello everyone, and in this lesson we are going to be learning all about React component and JSX. I might have mentioned earlier, React basically makes use of components, and these components are actually what makes one of the things that makes React what it is, because those components can be defined and then can be imported and reused and can take in different properties and also be rendered conditionally amongst other things. So to explain what React components are, let me give you a bit of some illustration. So in this particular website which we are working with, now we can see that okay, we have various sections. Okay, we have the header, and then we have okay the title and the breadcrumb section, and then we have okay other sections on the websites. These can be okay divided into components, can be viewed as components. So for example, the header section that contains the logo, the navigation link, and also the search and button, and also this particular icon. And then we have the about or the title or breadcrumb components, so which contains okay the name, the title of the page, and then the breadcrumb okay leading back to the home page. And then we have the component that okay gives more details about okay the website, so we can name this whatever it is we want. And one of the things we can do is we can actually divide this component a bit further. So React is all about components. Now another component we can have, for example, in the header section would be okay these components at the right hand side, which contains the search icon, the contact us button, and the moon icon. So even further it can be broken down into simple components such as buttons or the search icons. So this is basically what the components are about, and we're going to see that now, and let's dive into our code. Okay, so I'm right here in the directory of the React app we've created, and okay, what I'm going to do is come here and then type in cmd. So once I've done that, to open in Visual Studio Code, you can just type in code and then space then dot, which is going to open it up in Visual Studio Code. But I'm not going to do that because I already have it opened right here. So what I want to do actually is to run the React app, and to do that all you just have to do is type in npm then start. So this is going to actually kick up the local development server for React. And one thing I want to note is why using Visual Studio on all of this in the terminal. So you can see right here we have a bit of some shortcut here. One says toggle terminal, so I can just raise my the terminal. So whatever it is that I actually do it right. Yeah, so but for performance reasons and some other things, I prefer having a separate command prompt open in which I'm going to actually run the React app. Okay, and we should have something like this. So whenever you actually make any changes, it automatically listens and okay gives the output in the browser. And let's see what it actually outputted for us. Now we have this. So I just starting with React. This might seem a bit somehow a bit complex, might not understand it, but if you aren't, this is not your first time, not your first rodeo with React, then everything is going to make sense and look good to you, so you can actually skip forward for like the next minute or two, because I'm going to be explaining okay what all this is about. So if I should go back to my text editor, the first 10 right folder here are the node modules, and these node modules basically contain everything that makes React. So you don't actually need to look at that. You don't need to touch that. Okay, the second thing we have is the public folder. Now, then it contains, okay, the index.txt manifest.json. You won't really this except in some cases, but not as much as the next folder I'm going to show you. So if we should look at, okay, we have this logo.png, these two logos.png, and they are actually what we are actually seeing right. So, and the favicon also being showed up in the browser, so you don't really need to concern yourself with those. So this is the logo, and that's basically what is being animated right here. Then is the src folder, and here it is. Now this is where you're going to be doing the most of what you will do. So, and then we have the package.json, and that's basically all I have to show you. Now the package.json contains, okay, details about your project, your React project. So okay, all of the dependencies, etc. So but for now we aren't going to dive deep into it. So let's close that up and let's take a look at first the index.html, what it looks like, and then index.js, and then app.js. So let's clearly understand what these. So first, skipping through all of these, you see we have something, just one div inside of here, which is as the id of root. Now if I should look right in the index, everything right here is written into this div using document.element by id. So we import react and react dom, and then index.css, then app, that is this particular component, and then it is rendered there. So if I should come to my browser and I should fire up tools, so you can use F12 for that. So let's try and inspect what exactly is going on in the HTML. So we can see that div with the ID of, so that's basically what is the root component, what is actually responsible for showing every other thing that we're doing is actually being showed right here. So if I should expand it, then we can see the app, and then inside of that we can see the app.header, and then we can see the image. Yes, the image which is rotating, and then we can see the p tag and the a tag. So that's basically everything is being rendered by taking one component and being put into the other. So before we proceed, let's try and clean things up a bit so that you're actually going to understand better. So the first thing is my app.css. I'm going to open that also. Then my index.js, I actually don't want this, so I'm going to remove that. We don't actually really need it, so we don't need the css right here, so I'm going to clear that. And then also all of these that we have here, we don't need it, so I'm just going to clear that up. So we have the div with a class name of app. So let's save that, and then here we don't actually need to do anything, so I'm going to close that up. All right, so let's see. Okay, now we're having an error which is saying under index.js line 61, this is not defined. Okay, so let's go back to index.js and let's see reports web vitals. Okay, we've removed that, so let's remove it completely, and then it should automatically compile for us. Okay, this shouldn't be the case. Okay, now this is what we have. Now if I should come right here, I can input anything I want, say h2, then welcome to React. And if I should hit save, now one thing is you should note that this will automatically um always compile. Okay, we have some bits of warnings which you can see right here in the command prompt, and then we should have it, yeah, compiled here. Welcome. So now for example, let me show you, okay, how components and nesting of components works. Okay, to make things a bit better, what I'm going to do is delete the logo.svg. Okay, another, okay, then click on this new file, and then let's name our component header. Now, all of your components must always end with JS, because basically we are inside of JavaScript. Everything we are going to be doing is primarily making use of JavaScript. So header.js. So we have that. And then now when it comes to creating components, there are various ways of creating components in React. Okay, there are class-based components, there are function component, but mainly all of these in the end actually acts and is regarded in the same way. So for me to create but what we are going to be making is functional component, and for me to create that, all I'm going to do is SFC, and then I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to name this header. Now before you actually look at, okay, what happened here, now this is basically enabled by the extension I asked us to install in the last um lesson. So simple React snippets, so which is this. Now if you should go through the short documentation, you will see there are different React snippets. You can use different command. Okay, IMR for import React etc. So depending on what you want, if I want to create a class component, for example, there's the shortcut. So let's undo this, so I can say CC, and then there should be, yeah, this, and then I can create. So we can say class, then you can put the name of your component. So that's that. But let's go back to SFC less function component. Yeah, we have this right here. So I'm just going to close this up. Then the next thing is we need to actually input the name of our component, so we can make this header. Okay, now right here, one thing you should note is one of the rules in JSX is, number one, there always has to be a parent component. Now if you should look at our app.js, we have the parent component, then every other thing is rendered here. So if I should do something like, after this parent component, I should try and, okay, have multiple parent components, that won't work. So let's try that. Div, let's create another div, and then let's say hello. Now it will tell you right here, JSX expression must always have one parent element. Now you might not get this particular error right here in Visual Studio Code. I'm actually making use of another plugin to actually help highlight error. So I think that should be error lanes. So you can also try and yeah, error lane. So that actually, depending on the language you're working on, it gives you, okay, what exactly is wrong with your code even before you save it while typing, and which I find it very useful. So all I just have to do is delete that. Now this actually is okay, but it can pose a bit of an issue. Let's say, okay, you actually want to return more than one parent element. So we actually have a way around that, which is making use of JSX fragments. So you can actually make use of this. Now while this is being rendered, whenever it is being rendered, you won't actually see it won't actually have any tag. Let me show you what I actually mean. So if I should change this into a, okay, let's save that, and then first thing, let's import this. Okay, we are having an error, logo.svg. okay, I think there was a place we imported logo. Okay, yeah, so we just have to remove that since we don't want the logo, we are not using the logo. Okay, so let's save that, and then we should have this load and compile successfully. Okay, so with the root of id, okay, let's refresh that. Okay, so we have div with the root of id, which is our root elements. So we can see this right here. Under this we have div class of app. So what if we don't want that? We don't want that div, but we want under the root, we want to have multiple HTML elements. So what I can do is come back to here, change this into a JSX fragment. So delete that and then also delete this, and then I can say okay, div, okay, and let's put something like okay, welcome. Yeah. So saying is okay, let's have a paragraph. So okay, so I'm just going to save that, and okay, we can see this here. Now if we should look under the div with the our roots element, we can see instead of having just one component, just one tag which contains everything, we can see okay, all of these individual tags actually show up. So that's one another thing about JSX you should actually know and note. Another thing is whenever you open a tag, you must always close it. Now JSX is not as forgiving as your regular HTML5. It's actually stricter. It's just like XHTML, if you've ever written in HTML XHTML before. So if I should do something like HR now without closing it, it's going to show me an error. So I'm just going to do that. Now this should be noted in cases of, let's say you have an IMG tag. Now it should always be self-closing. Now let's say you have a BR tag, you should always close it up. So even when you have an input tag, so you should always close it up. So that's one of the things you need to know about JSX. And once you've gotten that, okay, the last thing and the final thing is all you what you when you want to make use of styles and classes, you can't use class. If you make use of the keyword class, it becomes an issue because we are basically in a JavaScript file. So it assumes that okay, we are making use of the special, the reserved keyword in JavaScript, which is class. So we can't make use of that. So instead we make use of class name. So class name equals to, I can have something like header. Okay, let's actually try and look at this then. Okay, I can have my button, so and then class name equals to button. Okay, let's say btn, and then my btn. So let's say I save this, and inside of my css here I have okay, I want to select that header, then I can say color, let's make it, then font size, then let's make it 22.5 rem, and then we can say right here the .btn, and then we can have something like background color, let's say okay, let's use this, and then we can have color, let's say white, yeah, which is fff, and then we can have padding of 20 pixels, and then let's save that. Let's come right here. Okay, see how this looks like. Now this actually, when it's been transpiled or compiled rather into HTML, we're going to see that it's going to make revert it back into class. So but right here, when we are writing our code in React, we have to make sure that it is class name. Okay, so and this is it. Now that is everything you need to know about, JSX. So let's go back into our code, and I'm going to delete all these and these also. Okay, so now we've created a component here, but there is nothing inside. So I'm going to actually quickly create just a quick nav. So I'm going to say nav, and then inside of there I'm going to have some links. So let's do something like okay, so let's just use our a tag times okay 3. Okay, and then inside of each one of these we can have something like home, about, then contact. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Then the next thing is, now when you want to use this component anywhere else, now if we should look here, we aren't saying header. So anywhere you want to use it, all you just have to do is import it, then header, the name of the component itself. So you might have, maybe it might be header components or whatever it is. So the exact name of the component we are going to import, our full stop slash. So and then once you're done with that, okay, it's going where is that in. So I think we are having a bit of an issue because of um where we created the header.js. So to make things better, I'm just going to move it into SRC, just not to cause any issue. So let's try that again. Okay, so we have these now. Okay, header. So then that means we have access to a component named header. Now how do you use this component? So the same way you use your HTML tag, so you say header, then you can close it. Now you can close it this way, or you can do something like, okay, header. Okay, so then let's save that and let's see what that gives us. Okay, we're having an error. Nav is not defined. It's not defined. Okay, let's just make use of a div. Okay, though that should be nav. Sorry about that. Okay, it's whenever you start a a tag in JSX with capital letter, it assumes that, okay, you are actually referring to a React component. So I'm going to close that nav, and then let's save again, and let's see. Okay, now this right here, we can see the nav component being rendered twice. Okay, let's refresh that again. Okay, we can see the nav component rendered twice. So you can also do something like right here. So instead of repeating the code, all you just have to do is um specify the amount of time or places where the component has to be rendered. So all I just have to do is just put this, and then by the time I come here, or we can say right, the component will be rendered this amount of time. Okay, so let's just, so that is the overview of, okay, components in React. So in the next lesson, we are actually going to be looking at, okay, bringing in our HTML code, which we have right here. So bringing all of this HTML code into React, and how we can actually, okay, start working on our individual components. So I will see you then.